All right, guys, welcome to another video. Mr. M here. I'm with a special guest, Mr. A, and today we're going to talk about some of his feedback because, as you guys know, um, I launched my new online program, and Mr. A was one of the guys who enrolled and spent the past couple months taking it. And today you're going to hear a little bit of feedback from him. I've known Mr. A for about a couple years now. If you guys look back earlier in the channel, he actually came to a Rio boot camp that James Tusk hosted, and I was one of the coaches there, and that was pretty much like his initial glimpse into like South America day game, and he had an absolute great time. So that was my first time meeting him there, and then obviously he took part in this course in which he's going to talk a little bit about it. So, Mr. A, how are you doing, man? How's everything?
They're great. They're great. Um, yeah, it's been great. I'm looking forward to talking about the course, which I recommend to anyone who's willing to set goals and have someone hold them accountable for them.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. So obviously, AJ, we met, primarily because of obviously you're cold approaching and we are kind of helping you with that journey. My course, we do talk about dating, but it's a little bit more of a holistic approach and material that we cover. Just like one of the first questions I have is, before you began the course, what was kind of like your thoughts in terms of the whole self-improvement? What did you think about it? And before, were you a proponent of self-improvement, or was it something that you didn't um, really get involved until maybe this course or in the past few years seriously?
Yeah, so I've heard of the term self-improvement before, right? Like years before, but I never really, I guess, delved into it that much or really made an effort to take part in any self-improvement. But as a I guess as an unintended result, right, of getting into day game and meeting you guys and James and the crew, I realized that it was a lot more than just day game, right? Because to be a good day gamer, you need to have so many things on point, right?
Yep.
Finances, career, everything, set goals in life. So that's why I realized that uh, I needed to take part in some self improvement, right? So because if you want to be good at anything, you need to be a well-rounded person. And when you're well-rounded, then you will see results come about. So there were areas of my life that I needed to sort out. One of them is career-wise, is my career. So I think you helped me a great deal set goals in this course that will allow me in the future to have a more flexible lifestyle. So
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because obviously a lot of guys, whether they're younger, a lot older, yes, girls is one component of a guy's life, but there's a danger rabbit hole of getting too involved in it and then kind of disregarding other areas of your life. And you kind of brought up the point that the most successful guys who are actually good with girls, yes, you do need to learn how to approach and how to talk with them. But if you have nothing else to offer in terms of like if your finances are shit, or if you dress like shit, if you're out of shape, or if you're not ambitious, then you're kind of like that weird guy that spends all of his time, approaching girls. So there has to be that balance. And especially the older that you get, there's an expectation that you do need to have your stuff together, and especially if you want to date like those higher quality girls, yes, you need to learn how to talk to them, but like if you have nothing else going in your life, then they're kind of not really going to take you seriously. So that's why it's never sexy, but guys, just as much as they need to learn how to talk to girls, they also need to be disciplined and passionate about the whole self-improvement journey because, yes, it's not as sexy as talking to girls, but in the long run, it's going to make your quality of life better for you. And as a byproduct, you'll be attracting more girls. So AJ, you mentioned some of the more kind of the career, the lifestyle, and kind of knowing you, and you can share a little bit. You don't have to share too much in detail. But you mentioned that you're a corporate professional and you come from that kind of background, but you mentioned that one of your goals was to become a little bit more flexible because you love to travel and stuff like that. So how were you in the past couple months set your goal in terms of driving towards that direction of having that as a part of more of your lifestyle in terms of like traveling more and stuff?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, travel has always been a passion of mine since I was very young, right? So I realized, as you know, as you mentioned, like I've been doing a corporate job for the past 10 or 11 years. A few years ago, I realized that that was not my place, or a place where I was going to be happy, right? Or fulfill. Like there was something about being stuck in an office from 9 to 6 that seemed just wrong to me, right? And the question for me is, how do I get myself out of that rat race, right? So I guess my goal, which I now see, which I now see as something that's very achievable in the short term future, is to to keep working, but maybe working remotely, that will allow me to travel more and do the stuff that I really want to do. I'm going to be much more happier that way. And the question has always been how to do that. And I think the course, you really helped me see the different pathways, the different options that I could take to achieve that goal, and that's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then as you realize, as you mentioned, it's only been a couple months, and even in a couple months, a short time period, you can really start taking actionable steps to change your life. And a lot of guys, this is a big area in which a lot of guys lack is they just don't take the action steps. I think everybody, they have goals, they have vision of what they want their life to be, but then they don't take the necessary action steps on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis to actually make that happen. Some things are going to happen faster than others, but regardless, you need to take those action steps. And that's why, as part of the course, we had the weekly accountability calls to kind of check to make sure that you're doing the stuff that we're talking about. And after a while, you realize, oh, wait, it's actually achievable or it's not like too out of the distance. And I think a lot of guys, they'll realize that if they actually have some kind of discipline, they have some kind of direction, then a lot of the stuff that they want is actually achievable. It's just a matter of accountability and then on your part, taking that action. So AJ, then obviously you in the past couple months, obviously it was good to kind of see your transformation in terms of knowing what you want because different guys want different things. Going forward now, in terms of now being involved in like self-improvement and having a new angle, different idea about it, how are you going to like implement this in terms of like your everyday lifestyle going forward, at least for the rest of this year? Because now the first 2 months are over, which is a perfect start. So how do you plan to implement it for the at least for the rest of this year and going forward?
Yeah, sure. So the way I'm going to implement it is something that you've, I think, done a pretty good job with these weekly calls, which is to break down a big goal into small, achievable ones,
Hmm.
right? So because I cannot say to myself, oh, I want to I want to have a remote job, and try to do that tomorrow. It has to be, you have to break it down in some achievable small goals so that will ultimately lead you to that big goal,
Yep.
right? So even though the course is over, I still have some small steps that I need to take to get to that big goal that I have. But because I have taken these small steps, I'm a lot closer to that goal, right? So I think if I keep doing that, if I keep implementing uh, those short term goals, those smaller goals, in the next weeks, months, I think I'll be in a position to achieve the overall goal of having a more remote life like you have in the next maybe towards the end of this year, I think.
Yeah, so that kind of it's one of the books that I include in the course. What you're mentioning is the compound effect. So basically, it's when you start to take small action steps, then it becomes like a snowball. For one, it becomes like a part of your daily habits. And then two, you do enough, something's going to fall, something's going to click. And then again, it's that compound effect, just like how they talk about when you invest for the long term, you put a certain amount of money each month. Over time, that compound's going to start to kick in and it's going to start to get bigger. Well, that's the same for anybody who has goals, whether they're small or large. But especially, it's good that you brought up these larger goals that people have, but then they have the goal, but they don't know how to get from point A to point B, like all the incremental steps. Sometimes they're boring or sometimes they're monotonous, but you need to take those incremental steps that eventually lead to the big goal. And you mentioned that in terms of like the finance stuff during the course, you're in the process of buying a property and you realize is how
Right.
much goes into it, right? So it's kind of the same thing of all this like steps that you have to take, organization, but then next time you buy a house or your second house, since you already went through that process, you're better prepared for the second one. And then final question, Mr. A, obviously you kind of mentioned how you found it. Would you recommend anybody in regards to taking up this course? Because again, even though self-improvement is not the sexiest thing, and a lot of guys are lazy, they just want to learn how to talk to girls, or they just want these quick, rich schemes. What would you tell guys who are maybe younger or even older? What would you tell them in regards to if they're thinking about joining a course like this?
Yeah, I mean, just take action because I think if you are serious about realizing your goals and you want someone to maybe help plan how to get there, and someone who will actually hold you accountable, hold your feet to the fire, you know, from someone who probably has achieved what your viewers are trying to achieve, right? So it's not only that you just talk about it, you're living it, I think, right? So I think that gives you more credibility to give this advice. And I think again, your I guess your viewers need to have that conversation with themselves first, uh, and get serious about improving whatever aspect of their life they want to improve, right? And
Yeah,
once they have that conversation with themselves, then I think they should get serious about it and take action and get to self improvement. And your course is a great way to do it.
thank you, Mr. A. And I think to kind of close off, you're
Mhm.
bringing in the point of time is our most valuable asset. I can't tell you so many times, people say, "Oh, I'll get to this later," or "I don't want to do this," blah, blah, blah. What they're doing is they're just wasting time. And then before you know it, another year passes by and all their goals that they had is not achieved. They're still in the same spots, whether it's in their dating life or with their overall life in terms of where they want to be at. And again, for me personally, I know that you're doing it too. Um, I invested so much in myself and I took programs, I took courses when I was young, and I was gladly willing to pay money and invest my time and money because I know that, I was going to get the best return on your investment is always investing in yourself. You can always make more money in the future, right? But you can never get back the time. So like, why would you waste your most valuable resource, time? And again, thinking that things are just going to magically happen. So obviously, Mr. A, it was a pleasure. We'll be obviously keeping in touch because one of the things, even that the course ends, there's still going to be a few accountability calls just to make sure that we set you on the correct path for the rest of the year. So obviously, anybody who's interested, first link in the description, you can just book a free 15-minute call with me. We can discuss about where you're at. And then obviously, if anything's of interest, we can have a chat about it. Mr. A, it was a pleasure. Thank you
Like,
so much. And everyone, we'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching and good night.